Welcome to Craft Beer Storm,
a podcast dedicated to educating the masses across the planet on what real beer is.
Hey guys, this is the Craft Beer Storm, and I'm Michael. I'm the owner, founder, and brewer at Brewery Brewing Company in glorious Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We got a good show today. We got Dave Yarrington, who is the brewer at Chapel in Maine in Dover, New Hampshire. And he used to be the Master Brewer at Smuttynose. So he has a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. It's a great show. We had some good conversation. So here we go. Hey, and today we have Dave Yarrington. He's the brewer at Chapel in Maine, former Master Brewer of Smuttynose. Hey, Dave, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. So let's start with you and where you are right now. Maybe your story, how you got started, where you are now, what kind of interesting things you got going on.
Well, those are a couple of different things, but I started in the commercial brewing world in '94. So went to college in the late '80s, early '90s. Have a degree in chemistry from Colby College, and started doing a little home brewing at school. But it was sort of senior year, and I didn't have too much space or time really to do it. But graduated and decided I wanted to learn more about brewing and the art and science of it. So I moved out west, ended up in San Francisco, and started as an assistant brewer out at a place called the 20 Tank. And 24 years later, still learning, still figuring it out, and really enjoying what I've chosen for a career, and putting the time in to really learn my craft and what I need to do to hopefully do a good job at it.
Yeah, I see. Now you're at Chapel in Maine. I think you've opened that, right, yourself, or are you involved with some partners? Or
well, I have some partners. So I left Smuttynose. I was the master brewer there for about 15 years and moved on a few years ago, specifically to open my own brewery and to sort of get back into a smaller scale of brewing. Smuttynose had gotten to a point where, I was mostly doing administrative work, and there was really great challenges to all of that. But, I was missing the sort of more creative end of it, and thought it was a good time for me to move on. And I really like brew pubs. To me, the idea of a tavern and the idea of a place for, community to socialize, and then, really nice food and pairing really good food with beer is something that's always been interesting to me. And so I reached out to my friends who run the Black Birch in Kittery, which is a great little bar, restaurant, craft beer bar. And they were interested and sort of at the right time for them to sort of have a second location and a second project for them to take on. So the combination of those guys doing the food in front of the house, and we added a little 5-barrel brewery here on site in Dover, is sort of working out great. We're maybe a year into it, so we're still building our audience and trying to get people to realize we're here and what we're doing. But right now things seem to be going great.
Yeah, just to give everybody a background, you're located in Dover, New Hampshire. When did you guys open?
Well, the restaurant opened about a year ago, and been brewing for about 8 months now. So I started last October. I think our first beers on tap were November 1st last year.
Yeah, I never got it. I had your beer at Whim. I know they had the Portsmouth Beer Week, and I was down there. We had one of our kegs on too. And I had your beer. It was very good, actually, the IPA that you had on tap there. I'm not sure what it was. I don't recall the name, but it's good. Really good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, you're at Chapel in Maine now. Now, how did you evolve into, I guess, Smuttynose, you became the master brewer, so that's a big deal. How did you evolve into that role?
So I ended up brewing out west for a number of years, and it actually ended up in Japan, starting Tokyo Brewing Company with my brother and some friends.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And I lived there for about 3 years.
How did you get to Japan? I mean, how did it?
My brother spent about 10 years living in Japan, and he invited me over. We thought we could. We were trying to do a brew pub in Tokyo, and That financially was just not in the cards, and we didn't really realize that. But it
Tokyo's
was difficult.
crazy expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, the real estate was just beyond our means. But we had a contract brand called Tokyo Ale that we were selling around town, and we were doing pretty well with it. And I could have stayed and potentially pursued that, but I really wanted to run the brewery and which are my roots. And when that looked like that was just not going to be that feasible, I ended up coming back to the U.S. and going to UC Davis. So I graduated their Master Brewer program in '01, and Peter Eggleston at Smuttynose hired me out of that program to come in and help out at a time when they were looking for they were struggling with their growth and quality, and they were looking for someone with more than just a home brewing background. That someone who had a little bit more professionalism, and it was a great match. I was sort of it was a great time in my career, ready for that challenge, and we did some really nice work there for a long time. So it's really thankful for that opportunity. But again, it grew. We were doing about 65,000 barrels when I left, and
Right.
that just got to a point where it's not like I'm brewing that. I had brewers and then assistant brewers beyond that, and I was managing a staff of maybe 30 or 40 people, and and it was again a really great challenge for me career wise, but it was beyond the sort of the roots of what I got into brewing for, right. And so there was a good time there after we built out Toll Farm, and it had been commissioned and was running fairly smoothly, so it was a good opportunity for me to kind of move on and look at starting my own project.
No, that's great. I mean, yeah, I know you have the passion to brew the beer, and then it got a little bit too big, and you're like kind of got lost, I guess, and you wanted to get back to your roots and just get back in and brew some more beer and start your own thing, which is great. Yeah, and what do you think about the craft beer industry and trends, and what do you see people coming into your facility, and what are they asking for? Are they still doing the IPA thing? Are you offering other things? I got to get in there. I haven't been in there yet, but I got to get in.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like 11 beers on tap, and we keep try to keep a nice selection. Again, I really look at what I do as part of the concept of a restaurant with a brewery. So we make all our food from scratch, we make our beer from scratch, we do cocktails from scratch. So the idea that we're hand making all this, and that that we've got really nice hospitality, so that you can come in and enjoy yourself, and so the nice part to me is I'm able to have a whole range of different beers on, and of course the IPAs sell the best. That's what everyone wants right now.
Everybody wants IPAs,
but with 11 beers on tap, I'm able to keep some of the more traditional styles that I really like brewing, and if they take a little longer to sell through, that's fine. It's not that big of a deal, and it's not like with the 5-barrel system, anything sits around too long anyway. So it's a really nice size that I'm brewing at, and allows me to be very creative, which I really enjoy right now.
So what kind of styles do you like? I know, well, IPA. I mean, I personally like IPAs too, but we also make darker beers, at Bera, and we're kind of infusing a lot of things into it, Oreos, and also hot sauce, and we're kind of doing a lot of stuff with but we're getting people to drink dark beers, which is awesome, So I like darker beers. I also like IPA, but there's how many styles are there? There's like over 200 styles, out there. So what kind of styles do you like, and what would you prefer?
Yeah, I mean, again, I right now, the things I'm really enjoying, some of the German styles of beer. We certainly brew a lot of Kolsch's, Pilsners. I've got a Helles on right now that's really nice. We've got a Schwartz beer on right now that I really like. And again, these are styles that traditional beer styles that I've always really enjoyed, but didn't always have the ability at Smuttynose to brew, just because the marketing needs were a lot different than at a brew pub. So it's been really fun for the last year to go back and sort of work on and perfect some of these styles that I've always enjoyed drinking, but not necessarily have the ability to brew too often.
Right, and we're getting into that kind of trap as well, because now we're canning, right? because people, and they want double IPAs. I go into these bars or restaurant stores, are like, what do you like? What do people buy? If you give us a double IPA, we'll give you a tap line. So I made 2 double IPAs, 2 different styles, one with Galaxy and one with like a West Coast hop blend. But they love them. We make the cans, but it's tying up all our we only have 2 fermenters. So like to deviate from that, it's a challenge. So we're trying to figure it out. Like we just made a Citravit, which came out very nice actually. And then we'll make a strong ale once in a while. We'll barrel age it in some Jim Beam barrels. So we'll try to get people into the tap room. But I understand what you're saying. How's that 5-barrel system working out for you in your restaurant? Do you think it's enough, or would you rather have gotten a 7-barrel, or how's that working out?
Oh no, actually the 5 barrels is big enough. I bought it from Premier Systems, which I really highly recommend. Those guys are great. And the nice part is when they talk about a 5-barrel system, they're talking about 5 finished barrels. And that's actually, we're a 65 seat restaurant. I mean, that's a lot of beer for here. Obviously the equation is not just 5 barrels, but how many fermenters. So I've got 5 fermenters, okay. And, I'm pretty easily able to keep up. We've got maybe 20, 25 accounts offsite that we sell, draft to. So that takes, some of that volume. And then we do a little canning here as well. And that takes some of that volume as well.
That's cool.
So the 5 barrels actually a pretty appropriate size for where we are. I wouldn't have wanted bigger.
To educate people on it that don't know what barrels are, it's 1 barrel equals 31 gallons. And the things in breweries that tie up some breweries is the amount of fermenters that they have. So we only have 2, so we're tied up. If they're full, we can't make any more until they finish. But I think you have 5, you said? 5? Yeah,
so there's 5. And that's, but I've got, I put room in the brewery to add more if we need to. Not a lot more. I've got about 500 square feet for brewery space. It's pretty tight, but it's, well laid out. And,
is that all you have for your system and your fermenters? 500?
500 square feet, yeah. Wow. And then I've got a cold room for the kegs. And I've got a little bit, of my grain storage is outside of that space, that kind of thing. The empty kegs get stored outside of that space. But yeah, my mill, my system, my keg washer, my fermenters, they're all in that 500 square feet.
Yeah, I just sent an email out to my guys too. Like we're thinking about the canning, and kegs are so much easier. You fill a keg, you give it to the bar, they go through it, return it, you clean the keg, and you don't have to worry about buying cans or snap caps or lids. It's just, I'm trying to figure this out because everybody loves these cans, and we, whatever we make, we sell. But hey, if you're a restaurant or bar in New Hampshire and you want some beer and kegs, let me know. Michael, bear-brewer.com. But is that not so you're distributing, I guess, kegs mostly, and then you sell cans in-house, or are you cans in stores as well, or what?
We do cans in almost exclusively in-house. We also right now are selling some to A&G Homebrew in Portsmouth, which is the Earth Eagle sort of homebrew shop there. Gretch has been buying some cans just the last sort of month or so.
Right.
But the issue is, of course, the shelf life of the cans we're doing is, we're talking weeks and not much longer than that. So I really these are closer to growlers than they are to, something that that'll sit on the shelf for 6 months and be shelf stable. So we're really trying to limit how much canning we do and how quickly they get sold, and try to, make sure that the highest quality beer can be.
Are they crowlers, like 32 ounce, or are they 16 ounce?
No, they're 16 ounce. Okay. I'm using a mobile can company called State 64.
Oh, State 64. Yeah, I know them.
Yeah, and Tim's great. But it's just the limitations of, these are, let's face it, I was using a $1 million Cosby filler at Smuttynose, and the quality was incredible.
Yeah.
And it's hard at the smaller scale. Those are the things that you struggle with. As a small brewery, you got to, kind of use the equipment that you're able to afford and deal with.
Tell me about it. Yeah, we bolted like 4. We got 4 Blickman guns, and we bolted them to like a wooden board. And we're filling cans that way, but it works, And then we have a seamer, and we seam it, individually, and then we label it individually. It's a very labor-intensive process, which is not the most economic. But everybody wants cans, so you got to give the people what they want. They want cans.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of the reality, and you just got to figure out how to do it as best you can.
Right.
It is one of the, one of the things you could choose not to, but on the other hand, it certainly helps with some growth and marketing and getting the word out of what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a marketing thing too, and people like him. We still sell the bombers in house, which are popular, in the tap room, so people appreciate that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
good to
yeah.
sell them. So, and then getting to my next question, what do you think the challenges to brewers are today, like local brewers?
Well, I mean, we just talked about one of them. Trying to get the best quality equipment you can for the scale you're at and what you can afford in terms of your overhead and your finances. But I mean, right now I think it's for a small local craft brewery. I mean, I think times are pretty good. It's blowing up right now, and one of the challenges at Smuttynose was that scale was not. That there it used to be that sort of 75 to 100,000 barrel a year brewery was the sweet spot in the industry. To be a regional brewery, you were doing really well, and really had good cost of goods. You can start to bargain for cheaper pricing on your all your goods and ingredients and things like that. But at some point, there's so many little small local breweries opening that regional brewery just started to get squeezed, and you see that across the board. A lot of news articles about those sort of 1 to 300,000 barrel a year breweries really struggling because suddenly
Yeah,
they're trying to sell beer across country,
yeah,
but they're not local and they're not small and they're not new.
yeah,
And, all those things are really popular right now. So,
yeah.
I think that if you've got, a small little local brewery, you should be doing pretty well as long as you're, brewing nice beer and got a nice audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast too, to kind of promote local beer and have people, go. I still go into stores and I see, the craft beer, the beer aisles, and they have suitcases for $10, and get 24 cans. I always say get a like a pallet of water. It's better. It's more healthier for you than to buy something like that. And then take that $10 or $11 and buy a 4-pack of local beer. I think it'd be much better off if you did that. And also about the regional brewers and even national, like Green Flash was like a shock because they have awesome beer, and then they went and they distributed around the country. And
Yeah, it's just a matter of how much debt you can take on, and whether you can cover it. And unfortunately, just the reality of the economics. And unfortunately, it was also there wasn't really a lot of predictors saying that this was going to happen. I mean, or if there were, there's a lot of people who missed that. So, it wasn't quite like, people made really bad mistakes or anything. It was just, got caught up in the reality of what was happening and unforeseen, growth issues. So, you know, a lot of these breweries have, managed to figure it out. They didn't, if you didn't have too much debt, you could restructure and maybe, with some layoffs, you're doing okay. But on the other hand, these small little local breweries, I think it's great. I mean, in Dover, there's 4 breweries right now.
yeah,
I just heard last night of someone else looking to open, and we're a population of 30,000 people, and to have 4 or 5 little local breweries, that sounds great to me because what I hope is that the people who live here in town, if they want a beer, they go to one of these little local places instead of, going to the store and buying, something from California or from wherever, some multinational.
I think it is trending that way. We see it, see it day to day. So, and you got to be flexible in this industry. You got to be able to pivot, and if you're too big, then that's a problem.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it used to take us a year to get a new product to market, when you talk about, contracting ingredients, getting the marketing down, the naming, getting 6-packs, the artwork, everything. I mean, it took a long time. And, in a year, a trend may have already left, and it was really hard. So, it's definitely nice at a 5-barrel scale. I could, next week brew whatever I want as long as I got the ingredients coming in. And, all I got to do is write a name on a chalkboard. It's
right.
very, very liberating.
That's great. You can be flexible and brew what you want, which is fantastic. So, Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's another reason why I wanted to, educate people. This podcast is not just for craft beer geeks; it's for people who are still, buying the large, big beer, and really don't know any better. There is a place and a time for big beer. If you're at a ball game or something, you want to grab a beer, or even, but however, and I was in New York. I went to Citi Field, and they had 24-ounce cans. They were charging like $15 a can.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well,
but you're
stadiums
trapped
do
in.
that, don't
Yeah,
they?
you're trapped in there. What are you going to do? And the beer is really not. It's kind of watery, and it's like, what am I doing? But I want a beer, so I guess I have to buy it. So it's kind of the mentality of that, trying to shift people's mentality towards trying to go towards craft beer, or expand their knowledge on beer. I mean, what would you say to somebody who just kind of strictly goes for the bigger beer? And
Well, I mean, some of it is what if that's your taste, that's fine. I have nothing against that. But to me, I look at it more like, if I want a nice loaf of bread, I don't buy Wonder Bread. If I want a nice cup of coffee, I'm not buying Folgers. Again, nothing particularly against any of those, but there's local coffee roasters, there's great local bakeries, and there's great local breweries, and and there's a reason why they're a little bit more expensive. You're not going to buy a dollar cup of coffee at your local coffee roasters, but maybe it's $2 or $3, and and I certainly think that the quality's worth it. And same thing with beer. If you if what you're looking for is inexpensive, well, there's I understand that there's economic reasons why people need to shop and buy things that are not that expensive. But on the other hand, if you want to support your local craftspeople and have something that's locally made and really high quality, then those options are there as well. And again, more and more people are figuring that out. I mean, the reality is the large breweries are hurting, man. Like, and the craft beer world is really taking a huge chunk out of what they're doing, which is of course why they're buying craft breweries. And it's we put a real scare into those guys. So to think that they're still dominating is not really an accurate statement.
no, I think that people are trending toward the local, and they're slowly coming around and finding that local beer and craft beer is delicious. And I did that. I mean, I had the idea of brewing the beer out of the Irish barley, and then when I got up here, I started drinking local beer. I'm like, my God, this is awesome. And I'm like, I should try this. So I did, and it worked, and we're still alive, thank God. But but I remember I talked to you when I was exploring this, a long time ago, I think 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and you're like, hey, you want to brew beer, but get some food involved too. Do pizza, do whatever. And now you're doing it. Actually, you have a restaurant, and it's great. Like, I don't know anything about food, but I think it's great that you paired with with a restaurant or restaurateurs and have them do the food and you handle the beer. I think that's a great combination.
Yeah, if you look at the economics of selling beer, like the best margins I can make on the beer that I brew is to sell it in house.
Oh
And
yeah,
if you're focused on trying to grow your can sales but not your in-house sales, then you're going to struggle because your margins just aren't as good.
yeah,
The best the best margins I can make is just right on tap here. But beyond that, I really believe in people coming out at night and socializing and not having their beer, alone at home or, with maybe, a spouse or something, but, come out and enjoy and be part of the community. And I think food's a huge part of that, I get that not everyone can do food or knows really how to run a restaurant. They're certainly not easy businesses to manage. But on the other hand, oh my God, when they're done right, it's just really beautiful. And it's nice right now, the community of people that come in here, they're not all beer drinkers, but, most of them are. But, we've created this nice spot in Dover. And we hope we can, keep the hospitality going and that people continue to enjoy it. But it's really fun when you're here at night and, the place is full and the energy's good and it's
yeah.
amazing.
That's awesome. And I've been talking to some restaurateurs who are interested in putting a brewery in their facility, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, maybe we can get that automated system where they swipe a card, then they put their glass under a spout, and then it just pours it in." I'm like, dude, they come to the brewery and they come to socialize with people. If they want to do that, they can look at their phone at home or something, or I mean, we're not like a like a self-serve place. They want to see somebody and they want to talk to somebody about the beer, especially when they come into our place. Like I'll be in there all weekend. I'm going to do Saturday and Sunday, but reconnecting with people. I've got the growler bus coming in, and we got people coming in and they say, oh, that's your brewing system. Yeah, come on into the back. So I take them into the back and we explain how we brew beer, and they appreciate it. They want to come out and they want to, disconnect from their equipment and kind of socialize with real people.
Yeah, of course. I do too. I mean, it's not that complicated. Public house. I mean, that's the whole deal of a pub,
Yeah. I mean, it's, So, all right. Well, I appreciate you coming on today, and, I appreciate what you do. You have great beer, and maybe you can tell people, where you are, how to connect with you, and how to connect with your place, and if they wanted to send you an email or come on in, you're in Dover.
That sounds great. Yeah. I mean, again, it's called Chapel and Main. We're on the corners of Chapel Street and Main Street, and we're in Genado's Plaza. So if you know Dover, there's a little grocery store right downtown called Genado's. And you get us Facebook, online. I think it's chapelandmain.com. And I'm sure it wouldn't take you too long to search online and figure out how to get a hold of us. And hopefully people come on in and see what we're doing.
That's great. Yeah, I got to come in. And I'm looking at your menu now. Good. I'm getting really hungry here. You have delicious stuff on there.
The menu's great. The food's awesome.
I got to come in. All right, Dave. Hey, well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and we'll talk to you soon.
That sounds great. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Hey, that was Dave Yarrington. He was the brewer at Chapel and Main, and which is located in Dover, New Hampshire. He used to be the Master Brewer at Smuttynose, and he's making really good beer. If you want to check them out, they're at chapelandmain.com. They have a Facebook presence as well. If you're in the Dover, New Hampshire area, make sure you go see them. I've had his beer. It's very good, so I highly recommend it, and I appreciate him coming on the show. And we're continuing our series with brewers, beekeepers, maple syrup guys, and, everything that's added to beer. We just want to increase the knowledge of people listening. And if you do like this podcast, if you like what we're talking about, you like you like what we're trying to do, go to iTunes, give us a review, give us a rating, and also tell a friend. Tell one friend about us. Check us out, and we're trying to spread the knowledge and let you know that there is an alternative to mass-produced, watered-down beer, and that's local, delicious craft beer. So until next time, boys and girls, talk to you soon.